Ever feel like your business is on a roller coaster? One minute you're riding high, the next you're plummeting into uncertainty. You're not alone. Did you know that a staggering 70% of small businesses fail within their first 10 years? So let's demystify the business life cycle and equip you with the knowledge to not only survive, but thrive at every stage. Welcome to Dollars and Dreams, the podcast designed to empower you to take control of your personal and business finance. You know, the very thought of money and finance can often send chills down your spine and stir up fear of the unknown. But let's change that narrative together. Through this podcast, my goal is to not only to provide you with useful information, but also to inspire and motivate you to take action towards your own financial goals. Let's rewrite your money story together. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Dollars and Dreams. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the business life cycle. And it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs or people when they first start business don't actually understand, that every business, regardless of its size, has gone through these different stages of the business life cycle. There's stages where money feels tight, time is of the essence, or you feel like you're drowning in the amount of work that you have. When you understand the stages of the business life cycle, and of course the stage that you're in or where you want to get to, you'll have a better understanding of why your business is doing what it's doing. So there's actually 6 stages of the business lifestyle. And of course, it starts with stage 1, which is the startup phase. Now, regardless of any business that you look at, every single business starts at the startup. Nobody started with a business that is up and running. Even if you have bought into a business, that same business may have been different owners, but that business started in the startup stage. The second stage is the wilderness, and that's where you're starting to grow, you're starting to need to put systems in place. Then we move on to what we call the lifestyle stage. And of course, then we go to the desert, which is our stage 4. Stage 5 is the performance, and that's where most businesses will stop at. The final stage is what we call the unicorn stage, and that's the multinationals. They're the ones that are the big businesses that we think about, you know, the Apple, Microsoft, and all of those. They've actually gone to a stage that most businesses won't go to. In fact, they account worldwide for less than 1% of all businesses. So today I'm going to go through a little bit about each of those stages. Because it is a podcast, there's only so much that we can talk about. I actually do have a short course on our website, jenrichardson.co, where I will go through each of these stages with you. It's only a 3-module course, and it will give you all the tools and templates that you need so that you understand the stage you're at and what you need to move to the next stage if that's what you want. And of course, as I always say, your business should serve you, not the other way around. But it's also important that you are running your business the way you want to run it, not the way somebody else runs it. And of course, with other businesses, we only see the tip of the iceberg. So you think that they've got this really successful business, they're running, you know, a really well-oiled machine. Keep in mind that you're not seeing the 90% of what's happening behind closed doors. So let's go through the different stages. So I'm going to start with the obvious one, the startup stage. Now, the startup stage is you've just left your employment, or you've decided that working for somebody else isn't for you. So you're stepping out and you're going to run your own business. The first bit that you have is a real mixed emotion baggage. You'll have excitement for what lies ahead. You'll have fear about what lies ahead, but you'll be really driven because you're really passionate about what you've done. And this is what we call the honeymoon phase of entrepreneurship. It's exciting, as I said. You're thrilled for what you can bring to your own life. You obviously see a need in the market for what you have, and that's a really important step that you need to do in this stage one. This is a stage where you're trying to get your first customer, you're trying to work out your systems, you don't know your marketing. You probably don't even know at this stage who your ideal customer is, or what we call your avatar. And you've probably heard in my other podcasts that I've done previously, I'm always talking about knowing your ideal customer. And it is one of the biggest mistakes that I actually see with startup businesses. They think that any customer is a good customer, and that's just not the case. You need to be able to talk to your ideal customer. So your website, your marketing, the way you present your business to the world is filling a gap that exists in the area that you want to work in. And so it is important at this stage that whilst you are starting up and you are trying to find those first customers, and trying to establish your business in a really competitive world, you need to get a foothold of what you want from your client base. Don't go out and just grab anybody, because they will refer you to the same consumer. It is important to work out who you want to serve. Put that out there straight away, but talk to your customer. Tell them how you can help them solve a problem or a need that they have. Don't feel that you just need to accept any customers and at any price, because that then sets the benchmark for where you'll be sitting for quite some time. In your early startup stage, it's really important to get all your systems and procedures in place. You don't have a lot of work at this stage, so you want to make sure that when you are getting work and starting to get busy, in preparation for the next stage of the business life cycle, you really want to have all those systems and procedures in place, ready to go. I am a firm believer in systems and procedures. I have it all through my business. One, because it makes sure that you are working efficiently, and you'll find that when you do have really good systems and procedures in place, that you do have greater productivity, because you're not thinking what needs to be done. You just follow the procedure and follow the steps that's inside your procedures. That then takes away everybody doing things differently. So you want to make sure that whenever you do anything in your business, that it is the same thing no matter what. Look, if you've listened to my podcast, I often talk about McDonald's quite a bit, and there's a lot we can learn from McDonald's, because they have been the systems and procedures and the ultimate in what they want. So if you go into a McDonald's store, you get the same level of quality service and the same product, because they have a systems and procedures in place. They're always, if you get a Big Mac at one place, it's exactly the same as a Big Mac at the next. If you get your fries at one place, it's the same size serving. You know, I go to my local fish and chip shop infrequently, but we go up there sometimes, you know, on a Sunday we might decide to get fish and chips for lunch, and we order medium-sized chips for our family. Sometimes when we open that medium-sized chips, we go, wow, that's not enough. We few chips onto each plate sort of thing. Other times we go there and we go, what the hell? You know, we're going to throw all these chips away. There's no uniformity. Now, that will never happen inside a McDonald's store. So when you're setting up your own business, whilst I don't say you're a McDonald's store, you need to be able to do what they do. They have been the master of making sure that there is uniformity and regularity. So in your early startup stage, use that time to show your ideal customer how you can help them and how you can make sure that they are served correctly. Now, the other thing that I see that quite often happens in the startup stage, because we are so desperate for our first clients, we quite often promise the world for the price that we're going to charge them. That then sets the benchmark, because that person will tell their friend, their colleague, their neighbour that go use ABC company, because they only charged me $300 and they gave me half a day's work. Set your benchmarks of what you want right from the start. It will take a lot of heartache out. It will take a lot of negative reviews away, because people then have an expectation that what those first few customers got is what they're all going to get. And so that's another part of your systems and procedures. The startup stage is also a great stage for looking at how you're going to market your business. Are you going to do social media? Are you going to do paid advertisement? Are you going to get a lot of work through referral partners? How are you going to build your client base? The other thing that we quite often see is that in that startup stage, because we've been mostly working for somebody else who has done the background of running a business, we underestimate the time and resources needed to launch the business firstly, but the time and effort that goes into servicing your consumer over and above actually delivering what you do. So, of course, when you're starting your business, you need to make sure you're in the right trading entity. You need to make sure that you've got bank accounts and things set up. You need to make sure that you're meeting your government requirements and lodgement of all your government reports, like your business activity statements if you're in Australia, income tax returns in every country. But whatever your services are in whatever country you're listening to this podcast, you need to make sure that you're meeting your government regulations. Budgeting is also a problem that we see in the startup stage, because every dollar you get in has somewhere already to go, whether it's into your marketing, into whether it's renting, advertising, getting cars if you've got something, or tools and equipment, setting up offices. So there's a lot of constraint on money when it's coming in. And the other thing is you also need to get a wage out of it. You need to earn an income. So we always say pay yourself first. And the reason we say pay yourself first, particularly in this stage, is that if you don't pay yourself, the business isn't going to survive, because you cannot survive on air. You may take a lesser than normal wage. You may take a wage that is less than what you were getting as an employee, because you're investing back into the growth of your business. But it is important to know that you don't want to throw everything at this and have nothing for yourself, because nothing will make you give up business than not being able to afford to live. It's a really important stage also to build your network. And that's where I was talking about referral partners. Who's going to give you work that you don't have to go and find yourself? Who's going to be that advocate for you and your business? So the startup stage is a really hard stage. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of excitement. You're really happy, but that excitement can only last so long if you're struggling. So it is important to make sure that you have all your systems, procedures, advertising, know your ideal customer, and start to build your client base one by one. It is also a stage that you need to get out of as quickly as you can. So you've got to put some things in place to make sure you can move out of this stage, because it is a really hard financial stage. And then, of course, we move into stage 2. So this is the wilderness stage. And whilst the wilderness stage is a really funny period, because you're experiencing growth, you're acquiring new customers, you're expanding your reach. And even in this stage, perhaps you're looking at bringing on some employees because your growth is happening. It is also a stage that you can really struggle financially because you are growing. And that's where I said that in that startup stage, if you get your systems and procedures in place, this is the stage that you can really grow and become profitable, because you have got those efficiencies in your business. And it's a place, as the new customers are coming on, or your consumers are jumping on and taking up your services, you can grow with knowing that you've got everything in place and you've got your budget there. You know what you're doing. The wilderness stage can feel very lonely because quite often in this stage you're working longer hours, because in the wilderness stage you are growing. And of course, you can't, just because you're growing, go and grab all these other people to work. We always say as accountants that you should have somewhere in the vicinity of 40% of your next employee's wage already. And that's because if you don't have at least 40%, you're going to lose your business, because your costs are going to be more than what you are making. So the wilderness stage is a double-edged sword in that it can be a really exhausting stage because you're growing, you're trying to do the extra hours to get the extra income, to bring on some employees that can help you. You're trying to wear all the hats in the business still. You're still out there doing the marketing, you're still out there doing all the accounts, following up with your consumer to see that they've got their product, they're happy with it. You're still out there networking with your referral partners to get them to send more work to you. The workload is heavier than ever because you are starting to grow, and you can feel like it never ends. You can feel like your 24 hours a day is consumed by your business. This is the stage that we actually see most businesses fail in. And you've heard those statistics about how many businesses fail in the first 12 months and 70% have failed within the first 3 years. This wilderness stage is the most critical of all the stages. And you might think, well, isn't the startup stage the most critical? Because if you don't get that one right, you're never going to move your business. And in some ways you are correct there. But when we move into the wilderness stage, it's actually a stage where it is expensive. It's cost driven, because as more consumers come on, before they've paid you, you've got to create whatever it is that you do. It is with the digital courses, you'll see people that they will pre-sell where they can. If you're into building construction, you might be pre-selling off the plan. If you're delivering a product to them, you may collect the money before you put the order in, but it is still an expensive stage. Your admin costs are growing. You might still be doing all the admin, but there's still a cost there, because when you're not out doing what you do in your business, you're losing money. Because if let's say you can pay an administration person $30 an hour and you're out doing work at, let's say, $90 an hour, for every hour that you're doing administration work, your business is losing $60. People will look at the cost and go, no, it's actually costing me $30. And it's not, because while you're out working, earning $90, you're paying somebody $30, you've still got $60 better off in your bank account. So it is a really tough stage, this one. And this is the stage that we always say everybody should have some sort of business coaching or do some training to work out how they can become more efficient as a business, how they can make sure that they're budgeting, how they can set their business plan, how they can really drill into their marketing plan. Because by now, when you get to the wilderness stage, you should really have your key message to your avatar or your ideal client really drilled in, so that when you're doing any marketing, whether that's on your website, your social media, or your advertising, or even out to your referral partners, they know that you're talking to me. And that's the really important thing. You want your ideal customer to be sitting there going, that's me they're talking to. That is me that's having that issue. I need the service of those. So when you get to the wilderness stage of your business growth, you're no longer thinking about, how am I going to grow my business? Your business is growing. You just need to make sure that you are targeting in on your ideal customer so that you can make sure that they're coming to you. You get that person that you want to work with, not the one that is price sensitive, not the one that thinks they might need your service, but then when they didn't get what they wanted, they will be the one that puts the negative review on your website. So knowing your ideal customer when you get to your wilderness stage is super, super important. The wilderness stage is also a stage where cash flow becomes king because, as I said, expenses are growing, revenue is increasing, but it needs to make sure that whatever you're putting out there as revenue needs to be coming back in so that you have the cash flow to grow. You cannot market, buy inventory, buy equipment, and, potentially have payroll if you're not collecting your money. So the wilderness stage is a stage that is very much driven by money. And you need to make sure you're getting your invoices out on time, that your consumer's paying on time. Because as I've always said, and you'll hear this through all my podcasts and everything that I do with my clients when I coach them, is if you are not collecting your accounts receivable, so that's money that is owed to you on time, you have become a short-term lender without an interest rate being paid. You are not there to support their business cash flow. You are there to support your own business cash flow. So the focus is about collecting revenue. It's also about tracking your expenses because in the wilderness stage, your expenses can explode. You're so busy being everything to your business that you'll lose track of what you're spending. And it's not sometimes until the end of the month or the quarter that you will think to yourself, I've actually spent more than I've pulled in, or I haven't made as much as I could have because I've wasted costs here. So it is super, super important that you keep control of your costs. I always talk about real-time accounting, and that is the super important thing for this stage of business growth. So the wilderness stage is often just trying to keep yourself afloat. And as I said, this is the stage that we see most businesses fail in. You sometimes in this stage can just take any income because you are so under pressure to get income in at this stage. And quite often every customer that you get or everybody you sign off can feel like a victory, but it can sometimes be a hollow victory. So you want to make sure that you're targeting and working with those high value clients rather than the low value clients, because it's the low value clients that will impede your growth. It's the low value clients that will risk your business. So it is important that you be very discerning on who you bring on as a customer at this stage. By investing at the wilderness stage and really knuckling down on those systems and procedures that I talked about, making sure that you're keeping on top of your costs and on top of your income, it will make sure that as a business owner, you can move into stage 3, which is our lifestyle phase. Now, the lifestyle phase is a really nice phase for business owners. It's a little bit of an oasis where the hard work's been done. All of a sudden, your business is nice and profitable. You've got the consumers buying from you that you want to buy from you. You will quite often have employees at this stage, which is what gives you a lot of freedom. And the lifestyle stage is more about you getting from your business what you want. And this, for some people, is where they want to stop. Not everybody wants to go through all 6 stages of the business life cycle. But this is a stage that the business is giving you what you want. Financially, you've got a level of stability. You've got regular clients coming in. You've got good markups on whatever it is that you're selling or offering to your consumer. Emotionally, you feel like, I've done it. I got there. I proved I can run a business. I've been able to do what I set out to do. Now, when you get to the lifestyle stage, it can be difficult for some people if they've been through that growth period and they get caught up in keeping to grow the business. And there is nothing wrong with that. But I always say to people when they get to this lifestyle stage, you have made yourself very successful. It doesn't mean that you've got to go through the rest of the stages, but it does mean if you're choosing to stay in the lifestyle stage, that you put now systems and procedures in place that you don't accidentally move in to stage 4. The reason that I say you don't accidentally move in is that if you keep doing what you've been doing to get to the lifestyle stage, your business will automatically keep growing because those referral partners are going to keep referring to you. Your ideal customer that's now become a raving fan is still going to tell everybody. And you've got more people out there raving about you because, customer 1 raved about you to customer 2 who became a customer. They then tell their friend who becomes customer 3, and it keeps expanding. But not only has customer 1 told customer 2 who's told customer 3, you now have customer 1 telling another person, customer 2 telling another person, customer 3. And that might be great for the people that want to move beyond this lifestyle stage. But if that's not for you and you want just the freedom to know you're making a good income, you have the freedom to finish work at a good time, go home to your family, the freedom to travel when you want or take time off with the kids in the school holidays, or it may even be that this is a business you set up for semi-retirement. And for some people, that is what they want. They want a business that can give them some income but still only have to work a couple of days a week. Don't underestimate what a lifestyle stage can do for you, and don't think that the lifestyle stage means that you have to be running a business full time. Remember, I said at the very start of this podcast, what you want out of your business is the only thing that's important, not what somebody else wants from theirs. So the lifestyle stage isn't met by a benchmark of revenue. It's meant by a benchmark of freedom. So we have financial freedom, time freedom, and mind freedom. And these are the 3 freedoms that you get when you get to the lifestyle stage. It doesn't mean you have to have employees. It doesn't mean that you have revenue of $1 million. It doesn't mean anything other than what it means to you as a business owner. So the shift here in the lifestyle stage is giving you, as the name says, the lifestyle that you want. It's a stage that is very comfortable for people. It's a stage where you achieved what you want to achieve out of the business. So if you don't want to move to the next stage, you need to find a system and a procedure that stops your business from growing. That does not mean that you don't get new customers or new consumers for your business. And it's one of the things that I say here in my accounting practice is that I get new consumers every year, but I need to do that because my consumers will choose to retire or they go to another accountant. When somebody comes to us, we never think for a single moment that they're going to be our client for life. Some are, some aren't. But we always need to think that people will outgrow us or we may have outgrown them. So clients will come and go. If you have got to the lifestyle stage and that's where you want to stay and you don't want to grow, it's important that you work out what your natural attrition from your business is, because you need to grow your business by that amount every year so that you keep the status quo. You also in this stage need to be very careful that you don't keep looking at your business from a entrepreneurial position. And by that I mean we should always be looking at what are other competitors doing, because you don't want your client base to walk out because somebody else in your industry is doing something better than you. You don't want your consumers to go, I don't want to pay that much anymore. There's somebody else that's come up with a product that's very similar, much cheaper, and I'm happy with that little lack of quality to get that price. So it is important that you continually manage your business, otherwise you will be slipping back to the wilderness. And once you slip back into the wilderness, you will feel that you're struggling with motivation. You'll feel like your business is failing and you'll take a very negative approach. And for anybody who has ever worked with me or listened to any of my podcasts or my trainings, you will know that I am very much a mindset person. You are what you believe. And if you find your business has gone from the lifestyle phase back to the wilderness stage, The mental capacity there is you will start to think, I failed. I had this business that was financially secure, gave me the lifestyle, gave me my 3 freedoms: financial freedom, time freedom, and mind freedom. All of a sudden, financially, I'm under the pump, or I'm working long hours again. And so it will be very hard from a mental mindset position to keep positive. Even though you need to go back and look at what did work the first time, have a look at why it's not working now, and then put something in place to change it. But let's say you've got to the lifestyle stage and you go, you know what, I don't feel that's enough for me. And that's okay. Not everybody wants to stop at the lifestyle stage. People have a different drive for different reasons in their business. And there's different motivations for wanting to either keep your business in the lifestyle stage or move beyond it. But just like when we went from startup to wilderness, when we go from lifestyle to desert, which is our next stage, you go back under the pump. So as a business owner, it's up to you to grow your business. You can have sales reps, you can have managers, you can have whatever it is that you want in place to help you. But I always say the buck stops with us as business owners. You know, if my business here is not growing, it's not the fault of my staff or my managers or anything else. It is my fault. It is me as a business owner. It is up to me to put those things in place for my business to grow. It can be that I haven't got out into the community. It can be that maybe I haven't shown value to my consumer, so my consumer's not raving about me. It is my buck and my business, so it stops with me. So once you move into the desert stage, it marks a real contrast to the lifestyle stage in that your tranquility of your lifestyle has gone. It can be that the growth is happening too quick and you haven't been able to bring on employees to do it. They'll work quick enough so you're back into the trenches doing what you used to do. It could be that your staff don't actually like the direction that you're taking. And all of a sudden, when we get to the desert stage, we're feeling overwhelmed again and stressful. Our resources of our time and our mental capacity all of a sudden is stretched. So as you move into the desert stage, which is the real expansion stage. So if you want to take your business from, just little old you and maybe 1 or 2 employees into a big entity that you don't have to go and do the day-to-day work, this will happen in the desert stage. So you'll have to move generally to larger premises if you have a physical presence. If you're a digital space, you have to do a lot more marketing. Budgeting here is, again, like it was in the earlier stages, it's really tough. So you need to be really strict with your budgeting. You need to think about your revenue again. You need to be constantly looking at where you're spending your money. And when you get to this desert stage, it's a little bit like the wilderness stage, but on steroids. So all of a sudden, like when you're in the wilderness stage, your costs were going up, but they weren't going up to the magnitude of it is in the desert stage. This stage can feel, again, like your business is struggling, a little bit like you may feel like you've gone backwards because all of a sudden financially you are a little bit drained. Financially, you're under the pump because you've got to find capital to do this new growth that you're doing, whether that be buying in more inventory, building out your staff base, or moving premises. Doesn't matter what your additional things are, you can't grow without investing. So all of a sudden we're back to the desert stage and we're feeling very overwhelmed. This is a stage where you need to rely on your network again to grow your business. It's also a stage where you need a lot of support to remind you that you are in the driver's seat. You are the one that needs to get out there and grow it quickly. Now, whether you get to this stage and choose that it's not for you, so you want to go back to the lifestyle stage. And I've seen lots of businesses do that. They think they want to grow, they move into this stage, and then they go, yeah, you know what, it's actually not for me. I'm quite comfortable. You can always go back to the lifestyle stage. You can do that by just telling your consumer that your books are full if you're in a business that you make appointments, or if you're in a physical store, you can just say you don't have that product anymore. It's also a stage that you can get rid of those clients that have snuck in that are your low value clients. Remember I talked about earlier that when we're in that wilderness stage, we want to find our consumer that is our high value client, the one that doesn't give us the grief, the one that pays on time, the one that is your raving fan. In this stage of the desert stage, we can quite often look and go, you know what, we had so much pressure on us to grow that we've all of a sudden accepted clients that we wouldn't have accepted when we were in the lifestyle stage. So this is, if you want to go back and, you know, you'd go, this is not for me. I don't want to grow the business. I can't sleep overnight. I have anxiety about whether I'm going to be able to pay the bills. It's just not for me. You can go back to that lifestyle stage by removing the low value clients, if that's what you want to do. Or, as I said, you just say, my books are closed, sorry, we're at capacity, whatever that term is. You don't want to say anything along the lines of, we're not growing anymore, we don't want to do that. Come up with a really nice way of saying to clients, you're actually not the client for me. Remember, I'd always say business is about you and you only. And so if those clients or consumers that are now using your services are not for you, then have the courage to say no. Have the courage to remove them and just say, I'm not going to work with them anymore. I mean, I think I've told this story. If I have, apologies, you might not have listened to the podcast anyway. A few years ago, I had a client. Well, it was two clients. They were in the medical profession. I decided I didn't want to work with them anymore. They were calling me at 10:30 at night when they've come out of theatre. They were calling me Sundays. They were calling me Sunday nights as I'm sitting down to have dinner with my family. They paid me very well, don't get me wrong. I was very well paid by those clients. And that meant for them that I was on call 24/7. I realised that they were sapping the living daylights out of me. I would get off that call on a Sunday and just go, you know, Sundays is my downtime. That's the time that I wanted to spend with my family. I wanted to get my house organised. You know, it's a day that I get all my ironing and folding done. It's the day that I do the prep for the next week. Because if there's one thing that I don't cope with, I can't live in a mess. I have to have the washing basket empty on a Sunday. I have to have the groceries done, ready for the week. I have to have my meal prepping done so that when I get home from work, I don't have to think, what am I cooking tonight? I don't cope well with unstructured environment. So for me, Sundays is about making sure that my world is not in chaos for the next week, that my world is organised so that when I come back into work on Monday morning, I just get up and I'm calm. I made the decision to say to those clients, I'm not the accountant for you anymore. You need to go and find another accountant. My staff almost had a heart attack when I told them that's what I did, because they could see that big chunk of income walking out of our door. Let me assure you that 12 months on, the revenue from my business was still higher than it was the year before, even though I let that big chunk of work go out. Now, why did that happen? Because all of a sudden I had the mental capacity to serve clients better because I wasn't drained from these 10:30 phone calls that finished at 11:15 on a Thursday night. I wasn't getting that Sunday morning phone call at 10 o'clock and then getting a follow-up one because they've thought about what I'd said that Sunday morning and then getting that phone call on the Sunday night. So all of a sudden I had a better mental capacity and I picked up clients that served the purpose that I wanted, that knew that my work finished and I had a family, that I wasn't on 24/7 call for them. So that meant that I had greater capacity to grow. Now that is where you get to in the desert stage. You need to work out what you want. Now, if you want to go back to the lifestyle stage, go back to the lifestyle stage. But if you actually want to be bigger and better, then you need to work to get out of the desert stage as quickly as you can. And again, where we say that the earlier stages is where we see people failing, this is the second stage where businesses fail. I threw a statistic up, I think it might have been in last week's podcast, I'm not quite sure, that 70% of businesses will fail within 10 years. Now, we say 70% of businesses fail at the 3-year mark. What then makes it from the 3 years to the 10 years? 70% of those will fail. And they fail because they get to this desert stage quite often, and they either don't make a choice to move forward or move back. And if you stay in this desert stage, there is such a demand on your cash flow. The expenses are rising at a greater rate than your income is growing. The mental load that you as a business owner is extraordinary at this stage. And in that 70% of those businesses that make it past 3 years that fail not necessarily fail, aren't around after 10 years, 30% of those were actually profitable. So they decided to close their business even though they were profitable because of the mental load, because of the lifestyle load that it gave them, or they may not have been making as much as they could have by being an employee. Remember, a profit is not a benchmark for anything. A profit just means your income was more than your expenses. Technically, if you made $100, you're in profit. If you haven't paid yourself out of it yet, you can't live on $100. So it is important to understand that when you get to this desert stage, that you will go back to stage 2. So remember, the wilderness stage was all driven by finding new customers. When you get to the desert stage, we're back to finding new customers again because our expenses are growing. The demand on our time is growing. I guess the difference is when you get to the desert stage is what works and what doesn't work. It's a matter now of exploring new markets so that you can grow. It's about understanding your cash flow, which you learnt when you were in the earlier stages, but now that pressure is there. And then, of course, once you've decided to move ahead and get out of the desert stage, we're now into the performance stage. The performance stage is a little bit like the lifestyle stage. Again, this is on steroids. The performance stage is where you've really got a whole team running your business. You don't have to do the day-to-day. You will still be there as the CEO, whether you understand that role or not. The profits are now rolling in. You're more about the direction of the business rather than the day-to-day. You've probably got a finance team working for you that will be doing your budgets. And this is the stage that is still an elite stage. Don't get me wrong. Most businesses will stop somewhere around the lifestyle stage, most small businesses anyway. And this performance stage is where you don't have to do the day-to-day work, as I said. You will be coming up with the strategies. You'll be looking at new markets. You will be looking at keeping the momentum going so that you maintain the income to cover your costs. At this stage, even if you don't want to go to the next one, remember the next one is the unicorn and it is the last stage. This is the stage that not many go to. It is the unique stage, which is why it's called a unicorn stage. But when you get to the performance stage, you still need to grow because your costs will still grow. Your staff will move on. Your staff may take some of your clients because they go out as your competitor. If you think that's not going to happen in your business, you're delusional. You will always have some staff that when you get to this stage will go, I understand what it is. At this stage, your blueprint, you should be well and truly in place to allow your business to continue scaling. And while ever it's scaling, it will keep maintaining and growing the profit. And you obviously need a well-articulated business plan, marketing plan, but you'll have marketing people probably working for you. I'm not going to do too much on this stage, the performance stage, because there are a lot of challenges, and it can be a stage that you become complacent. So keep that in mind, that don't look at your business and go, I've made it. I'm just going to sit back and watch this happen. That is where the mat will get pulled out from under you. Do not rest on your laurels. Assume that whatever got you to here can be taken away from you as quickly as it can. This is where the business landscape is not about looking for your ideal customer, because you should have them. It's about constantly listening to the consumers that you have so that you can keep them raving about you. It's also a stage that your competitors will be lurking in the background, waiting for you to make a mistake, waiting for you to get that complacency there, that all of a sudden your consumer wants someone else to look after them. So you need to keep maintaining the momentum at this stage. And then if you decide to keep maintaining that momentum and you move into the unicorn stage, this is where you will probably have put your business out for some market involvement, because you need the capital to keep growing. This is the multinational companies. This is the companies that are at the pinnacle of running a business. And as I said at the start, less than 1% of all businesses worldwide will get to the status of unicorn status. And it is something that once you've got to there, you're not involved in the day-to-day of the business at all. You, as I said, you would probably have put it out to the market, listed on some sort of stock exchange, because you will need a lot of capital to get to this point. So that's it for the 6 stages. I'm not going to go too much, as I said, into that unicorn stage, because with less than 1% worldwide, it's not worth you listening to what happens when you get here. You'll have your own advisors. You definitely won't be doing any of the unicorn stage on your own. So that's it for today. As I said, I've got a small business course coming up very soon on the 6 stages. As I said, it's only a 3-module program. It's just about giving you the tools and templates, particularly where you're in startup, where you're in desert lifestyle stages. They're the 3 stages that we tend to work with our businesses in. When you move into the performance stage, you will probably be doing more one-on-one with personalised advice from your accountants or your advisors. Having said that, it's nice to know what that looks like so that you can have informed decisions. So keep an eye out for my short course that's only $49. It will be on my website in the next couple of weeks. I'm just writing all the material for it now. It is the stages that we go through here with our clients on a one-on-one basis, so that we can take those clients that have decided that they're not going to work for someone else anymore, and they come on and we show them all the things they've got to do when they first start, so they get those systems and procedures in place to drive forward. The desert stage, as I said through this podcast, is a really important stage, because it's up to you as a business owner to get your systems and procedures in place. And that, of course, is what we will cover off in our short course. So if you jump over to our website, jenrichardson.co, we have a wait list there. So as I said, the course is only $49. You will have lifetime access to that whenever we continue to run our platform. You will be given all the tools and templates that you need to know so that you can progress through those stages with as little disruption to your life as possible. If you know anybody that can benefit from help, please reach out to them and let them know about our podcast, our websites, and our trainings. And of course, Pathways to Profit is coming very soon, and that's where I'll show you how to run your business more profitably. So have a lovely week, and don't forget to like and subscribe so that when we drop a next episode, you will know about it. So have a lovely week, and I look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday on Dollars and Dreams. Remember, the advice shared in Dollars and Dreams is general in nature, and it does not consider your own personal circumstances. Dollars and Dreams is for educational purposes only and should not be relied upon to make investment or financial decisions. If you need more help, please reach out to a financial advisor for tailored personal advice. Don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content. And please leave me a review. Your feedback really helps me to reach other people chasing their money dreams. You can find me over on Facebook and Instagram to connect with me. You will find the link in the bio, or head over to my website at jenrichardson.co, where you will find free content and learning tools.